All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Tonight, we're talking about the Las Vegas Raiders because I just read an article on why the Las Vegas Raiders are one of the biggest losers in the entire free agency period thus far. Now, the Raiders' offseason free agency moves have been highlighted by future star, ascending star defensive player Christian Wilkins, who, by the way, last season, 9 sacks, 23 total quarterback hits. We're going to pair him up with a player who you guys are probably aware of. Yep. His name is Max Crosby. And then you also picked up Gardner Minshew, who I think is a perfectly great guy to have in the locker room. I think he's a great voice. He's going to lead by example, even if he's never QB1, even if the Raiders decide to go with Aiden O'Connell, even if they decide to draft Michael Penix or Bo Nix or whoever at pick number 13. Gardner Minshew in the building is a huge deal. Tell me you have not watched a Raiders game in the last calendar season without telling me you have, and you would probably say the Raiders are the biggest loser in free agency thus far, folks. The Raiders are ahead of schedule. We know this. We've been saying it on this channel for the last week and a half. The Raiders aren't making moves. They're not making like a ton of moves. Like, they're not the Commanders making 12 moves in the first 24 hours. They're not making 10 moves in the first 2 days like the Texans. Why? Oh, so glad you asked. We're going to talk about that. It's because the Raiders don't need to. The Raiders have a good roster. All they need is a quarterback, and I don't care. You can have your opinion on Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, Michael Penix, their 13th pick. It don't matter. All Las Vegas is missing is their quarterback. Is he on the roster? That's up for debate. Is he going to be drafted? That's up for debate. Folks, the Raiders are a lot closer than a lot of people think about, and that's what we're going to talk about in tonight's video. But before we do, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content, along with daily Raiders videos. Raiders fans, love you guys as always. If we try and get this video to 150 likes, that would mean the absolute world to me. So I think, just even judging from, making Packers videos on Josh Jacobs and just like anything regarding the Las Vegas Raiders, I think a lot of people are missing what that team went through last season. Josh McDaniels almost single-handedly screwed the entire franchise back several seasons. They were terrible. Jimmy Garoppolo was horrible. He made Josh Jacobs horrible. He made Devontae Adams horrible. He made the Raiders defense be on the damn field for what felt like over 80% of the game. Folks, they didn't have a 20-point game for, Jesus, dude, I don't even want to get into the Josh McDaniels era. My point is, so many people, I think, when you're looking at the Las Vegas Raiders, are just thinking that they're still the same team with Josh McDummy, as a lot of my Raiders fans watching this video like to call him. And it's right. It's hitting the hammer on the head. Josh McDaniels was horrible. Like, words cannot comprehend it. And you just go out there and, like, one of the big knocks is you're paying Christian Wilkins like he's, one of the best defensive players, one of the best defensive linemen in the entire NFL. Sometimes you have to risk it for the biscuit. And that's one of the things I love about Tom Telesco. That's one of the things I love about Antonio Pierce. These guys are not afraid to be wrong. These guys are not afraid to make big risks and have it not pan out. But you cannot tell me that Christian Wilkins was a bad move. You just simply can't do it. Like, stats even back it up. This dude has played in every single NFL game for the past 3 seasons. I think when people are talking about Christian Wilkins only having a good year last year, we look at it, 1 forced fumble, 2 pass deflections, 65 total tackles. He had 9 total sacks. He had 23 total quarterback hits. I think what a lot of people are mistaking or just not thinking of is the impact that's going to have across the board. And my Raiders fans watching this know exactly what I'm talking about because we've mentioned it in every Raiders video for the last week and a half. You can no longer double team Max Crosby every single play. We also saw players like Malcolm Kuntz break out into ascending players last season when Antonio Pierce was at the helm. The Raiders went 5-4 when Antonio Pierce was the interim head coach. These guys love him. Max Crosby was like rumored to request a trade if Antonio Pierce wasn't the damn head coach. Like, they love him. They are backed behind him. It reminds me very similarly to the Detroit Lions with Dan Campbell. I was just watching that damn game yesterday. The Detroit Lions in Dan Campbell's first season were 0-10-1. And they stuck with it. They ran with it because the players, the coaches, the fans, everybody loved Dan Campbell. Well, guess what? Same thing with the Raiders. Everybody loves Antonio Pierce. And I get the quarterback concerns. At the end of the day, Gardner Minshew comes in as QB1, and worst case scenario, you see a similar year as last year. You're going to win between 7 to 10 games. You're going to have a fighter's chance at making the playoffs. That's worst case scenario. Gardner Minshew can play. He almost led the Indianapolis Colts to the playoffs. Most people can't name players outside of Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman on the Indianapolis Colts entire football roster. Aiden O'Connell, fourth round rookie. I get some concern. I get the hesitation, myself included. At the end of the day, dog, in his final month of the season, he threw for 8 touchdowns and 0 interceptions, including almost 300 yards, 299 yards against the Indianapolis Colts, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. The final finale in the win against Denver, 244 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. The Chargers, the record-breaking 63-point game, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I get it. Josh Jacobs was a big loss, but Zamir White averaged 4.3 yards per carry last season. And in the final month, like, those stats are pretty skewed because in the final month of the season, when Josh Jacobs went down with an injury, Zamir White really stepped up. They also just picked up Alexander Mattison, I think a perfect kind of complementary running back to Zamir White. If Zamir's a complete and utter bust, well, you have Mattison. They're probably going to draft a rookie running back regardless. You still have Jacoby Myers. Most importantly, you still have Devontae Adams. I still have Max Crosby. The Raiders, once again, to get back to what we were mentioning at the start of this video, the Raiders aren't making crazy moves because they don't have to. They're closer than people think, some way, somehow. And every Raiders fan watching this damn video right now knows exactly what I'm saying. Every NFL fan who was paying attention to the Raiders last season knows exactly what I'm saying. They went 8-9 with Josh McDaniels being the head coach for half of the season. It was utterly and insanely impressive, and they're going to build off of that momentum, and that's exactly what the addition of guys like Christian Wilkins and Alexander Mattison and Gardner Minshew are doing. So that's it from me. Hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL and Raiders videos. But most importantly, guys, let me know your thoughts on the Raiders free agency and their team in general down below. Thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your night. We'll see you soon.